Hey friends, how are you doing today? My name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. I'm happy to have you here with me in the kitchen where we are going to pop our soaps that we made together yesterday. It was yesterday for me, 2 days ago for you, because I promised that I would. It's very satisfying. It's going to be more satisfying for me, of course, but even watching it is kind of satisfying. And we'll be able to look at the pretty patterns that are on the bottom because I did use some molds with pretty patterns on them. And then after that, we are going to make some German Spätzle. Somebody sent me this Spätzle maker and there was no name on the package. So if it was you, thank you so much. I just did some research about, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it exactly right, but Spätzle is the way that I think I'm supposed to pronounce it. And it looks like such an easy way to make a really delicious pasta that I know my kids are going to love. So we are going to make a cheesy, crispy onion Spätzle today. This recipe can be used as a side dish or as a main dish from what I have learned. I'll talk more about it once we get to that part of the video. I did pop one out already just to make sure that it was set up enough to pop them out. So these ones are just plain round discs. And these ones, compared to the last batch I made, are definitely a little bit softer at this point. The other ones that I made, I was able to pop out after just a few hours. So I maybe didn't mix this one up quite as well as I should have. Yeah, see, it's still pretty soft there. So I could have definitely left these ones in for a little bit longer or actually used the blender on them for a little bit longer to bring them to a bit of a firmer trace than I did. But that's okay, they should still work all right, and they still look beautiful, don't they? These ones I was really excited about. One of my kids dropped something into this one, but these ones had pretty flowers on the bottom. Look at that, isn't that pretty? So these ones were the honey oat soaps. Look at that, lovely. And then these ones are just the plain bars here. Okay, so these are going to go sit down on the apothecary shelf down in the pantry for the next, if I didn't say this, I think I might have already said this, but for the next 6 to 8 weeks or so they can cure. Okay, so for my Spätzle, we just need flour, eggs, and salt, and a little bit of milk. Apparently, according to the German site that I was on, there is some debate whether you should be using milk or water, and traditionally milk was used in them to help to make the dough a little bit thinner. So I'm going to use milk in mine. I have some onions chopped up over here that I'm going to get frying up over on the stove. And I already have my water heating up over there because once we get this dough mixed up, it really doesn't take long for it to come together. And our water needs to be boiling when we put it in it. So we have a bowl here, and in Germany, apparently you can find a coarser flour that is specifically for making Spätzle, but this recipe says that you can use all-purpose flour like I'm using. And this recipe that I'm using is from Plated Cravings. And the woman's name is Julia, and she is German. She now lives in Canada though, which is very apropos since I'm here in Canada. There was a really interesting observation that was made on a video, I think it was last week, that I put out where I was sharing that I usually need to add more liquid than the recipe calls for most recipes. And I've made the assumption that perhaps it was because we live in a really dry climate. So we need to add extra moisture. And there's lots of people in the comments that have backed that up, saying that they also experience that. But this woman made an interesting observation, and she said that when I am scooping up my flour, and this is true, that I shake it off like this instead of scraping it off. And when you do that, you compact the flour in the measuring cup. So you're actually adding a little bit extra flour than somebody that was scooping it like this and then scraping it off. So we are going to try doing that today. And I can't see me doing this over the long run though. I've been doing it the other way for way too long to probably break that habit. But we're just going to try today for fun and see if it makes a difference to the amount of liquid that I need to add. So we have 4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt. Just gonna add a little bit of olive oil to our onions over here. And wow, turn our temperature way down. We want them crispy, but not burnt. So we'll just mix that salt and flour together. We're going to add 8 eggs. And 3/4 of a cup of milk. I have really been enjoying pasta making over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks or so. I've made pasta in the past, but not as much as I have been, and it's just been so delicious. So apparently we want to make sure that this is smooth enough to be able to squeeze fairly easily through our Spätzle maker here. As you can see, the holes are fairly small. I am going to have to add extra liquid to my recipe. So I'm just gonna look at what it is the texture should actually be here. It should not be too thick or too thin. Well, that's not very descriptive. So for those of you that know how to make it, you're probably going to be talking to your screen right now saying, no, that's too thin, or no, that's too thick, whichever way it's going to be. So you're supposed to stir it until it forms bubbles. Oh, okay, there we go. Yep, I can see that there's bubbles in there. So we're supposed to let this sit now for 10 minutes and let it rest. And then we are going to make our Spätzle. We are big pasta eaters in our house. And thanks to all of you who have contributed on whether I say pasta correctly. The reason that I had asked is because I hear from so many people whenever I talk about making pasta that I say it incorrectly, which makes sense since I have a very large audience in the US. So for those of you that think that I say it incorrectly, I'm actually just saying it with a Canadian accent. And also the way that lots of other people in other parts of the world say it as well. I've so enjoyed the conversation about accents that we've been having over on my Instagram, because I talked about this in my stories over there. And we had a lot of fun talking about the different words that I say differently than people that watch me are used to hearing them. So one of them that was really fascinating is that several people from the southern parts of the United States hear when I say my husband's name, Dan, and also when I say the word ranch, they hear me say Don as in D-A-H-N, like you would say naan bread, and ranch as in ranch, which is similar, so R-A-U-N-C-H, which I think is so fascinating because I don't hear it that way when I say it. I hear myself say Dan as in D-A-N and ranch as in R-A-N-C-H. So, but I was speaking to a linguist and she was saying that the way that you speak words where you're from actually impacts the way you hear other people say them, which I think is so incredibly fascinating. So I would love to know down in the comment section if there are any words that you hear me say that are different from the way you say them. And if you hear me say my husband's name, Dan, D-A-N, if you hear me say that as Don, as in D-A-H-N. So I would love to know. I think that's so interesting. I have some bread over here, some little loaves of whole wheat bread that I'm just gonna pop in the oven that my daughter made earlier today. We're gonna pop those in there. And now we just sit and wait for a couple of minutes until our Spätzle dough has had a chance to rest. Okay, our Spätzle dough is in. I'm gonna go for it. I have a good tablespoon of salt in my water here. Oh, that's what we do. So the question is, whoops. Honey, could you grab me a butter knife right there? Oh, it's just kind of falling off. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Well, it's pretty easy to squeeze out. So I feel like maybe my dough is just a little bit too runny. Oh, it looks right in the water. I'll show you once I get some of this through here. It's always a bit tricky doing stuff like this. YouTube videos that I've never done before, especially if it's a cultural thing, because I have people from all over the world that watch, and they get a little horrified when they see me make things. I am obviously doing this incorrectly. I really think that there wasn't quite enough flour in that. But maybe it's supposed to be long. Okay, I'm gonna try doing a whole push on this whole thing and just see if maybe it's supposed to go all the way down to the bottom and then just letting it go like that. Okay, I'm gonna show you what I'm seeing in my water here. So we keep this boiling until all the spätzle floats to the top like this. Oh, that looks right. So it looks like all the videos that I've watched. So that's good. Every time I say spätzle, I'm sure that I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but I'm sure you guys will let me know. So a lot of people say that fried spätzle is really, really delicious. So I am going to fry mine. I have a pan going over here with a little bit of olive oil in it. Well, I'm pretty excited because this looks right. I'm just gonna add a little bit more olive oil to this. So traditionally you would fry this in butter, but I have some olive oil here at the ready, so I'm just gonna throw that in there. Well, this is certainly an easy thing to make. And I can tell you right now, my kids are going to love this. I've made enough of this kind of really eggy pasta lately to know that this is gonna be a hit. I just tasted some and I know this flavor and texture. So I'm gonna give my mom a call once I have this all fried up and ask her, excuse me, if she made this when I was young, because I am gonna bet she did. Okay. Now we're just going in one squeeze this time instead of trying to cut it off. Ah, there we go, come on. Okay. This has to be the fastest way to make pasta ever. I'm not making a huge batch right now because I don't like to do a huge batch of something that I have never made before like this. So that is definitely the way to do that. Okay, so these ones are just about good. These ones are just about good to be able to go into the fry pan. So here's my plan. I'm not gonna make a huge batch of this right now. I'll make enough for it to be a side dish, but we have leftover chili. We have leftover baked beans that we had for dinner last night, and I think we also have some leftover macaroni and cheese that I made the other day. So we'll be able to have this and all of those things for lunch. This little batch, this 4 cups of flour actually makes quite a bit. Thank you so much to the person who sent me this spätzle maker. What a kind, thoughtful gift. Like with the comments on my videos, I do try to read all of the emails that I get, but sometimes I do not have the opportunity to, and more often than not, I will read them, but I don't have time to write everybody back. So please know that I do read them and they mean a lot to me. I'm super grateful to everyone that reaches out like that, and please don't take it personally if I have not responded. I just am not able to respond to everybody as much as I wish that I could. Okay. Oh my goodness, I turned my water off. What on earth and why on earth did I do that? It's still boiling a little bit. Oh, my dough is starting to get a little bit thicker. So I definitely have it the right texture, I think, because I don't think I'd be able to squeeze this if it was any thicker. Oh, yay! Dan just heard from the furniture store that our new furniture is in, which is so exciting. So you're gonna go down in a little bit and pick it up? That is really exciting. So do you know what that means? Is that after I'm done doing all this, I have to get my living room emptied out for the new furniture. Would you guys like to see what we ended up getting? Because I could probably fit that in to today's video. Oh my goodness. So I prefer the spätzle not fried. I know my kids are going to like it fried, but I'm going to put a little bit aside that's not fried for me. And I'm going to need a bigger glass dish here. So we're supposed to use Emmental cheese for this recipe, but I don't have any Emmental, so we're going to use a little bit of mozzarella on the top of our Spätzle. I'm concerned that every time I say it that I'm saying it wrong, and it's annoying those of you who know how it's supposed to be said with the right German accent. After everybody has had a chance to try this, I'll let you know what everyone thought. So I'm going to put some just boiled into here, and I'm just going to have this with butter and salt and pepper and maybe a little bit of the fried onion. I'm not going to put any cheese on mine. Do you know what would work really good for this? Is my cheese curd ladle. It's probably perfect for doing this. Very similar texture to a cheddar cheese curd, actually. We have all of our, I think I showed you this in one of the last videos, all of our old furniture that was up here we brought down to our new family room that we built downstairs. So the living room space is mostly cleaned out already. Okay, so we have our fried onions here. And I'll put a few on mine. Okay, so we just have a little bit of mozzarella cheese. I put the onions in there, and as soon as the bread's done, I'll pop this in, give it a broil, and then we'll give it a try, and I'll let you know what everybody thinks. We are in the living room now. Dan is home with the furniture, and I thought it would be fun to take you along as we set up the new furniture in the living room. So we don't have the side tables, the coffee table, the carpet, or the cabinet that's going to go in the corner. So we just have the couches and the chairs. We didn't want to buy those things until we had the furniture set up in here and we could see a little bit more accurately what we actually needed. But I wanted to let you know, I just got off the phone with my mom and I asked her about Spätzle, and she used to make Spätzle when I was a kid. So she actually used the dough that I've shared with you that we called galushkas growing up, which is basically the same as the Spätzle dough, and she would just make little tiny noodles out of it like Spätzle. Probably done in the more traditional way where you kind of scrape with a spoon to make the noodles rather than the big Spätzle press. I shared this over on Instagram when I was making them, and I heard from several Germans who said that it's really good with the fried onions and a brown gravy. And I could see that, and I've probably had it that way in my life too, because I almost can taste it. So anyway, Spätzle is one of those things we are definitely going to be making again because we all really enjoyed it. The kids thought it was fantastic. So now let's get to the fun of, I'm just going to give the floor a quick sweep because I have a few things over there that were underneath the couch that we moved downstairs to the family room, and then we'll get the new furniture moved in here.
Oh, so glad I forced you not to buy those down coaches. Seriously.
So I have a funny story to tell you. About 15 years ago, we bought a set of furniture and it was brown. And then about 8 or 9 years ago, we needed to replace said furniture because it had been very thoroughly used and abused by our large family. And we ended up buying pretty much the exact same set again because it had lasted fairly well for the amount of use, and it was brown, so it didn't show any stains or anything on it. So when we went to buy furniture this time, Dan was like, he drew the line. He said, no more brown furniture. And they had a very similar set.
She tried.
I did try. I did try. So had gone back and forth for weeks and weeks which sets we wanted to buy. And at one point, Dan was like, maybe we should just get the brown furniture instead. And I knew how much he really didn't want to have it, buy the brown furniture again for the third time in a row. So we have completely branched out now and got something entirely different. And I'm really happy with it. I think that couch or that chair over there is so beautiful. It makes me really happy. I love it. And it's very comfortable. I will show you once it's all done. I'm sorry it's so dark in here now, but when it is all done. And you guys gonna come in that way?
Yeah.
when we are all done setting it up and we have the new area rug and the lamps and everything, I will show you the finished product. It won't be for a couple more days. We are going to go to town together tomorrow and finish up the rest of the purchases that we need to make for this space. But I'm really excited about it, and I love this chair. It's beautiful. And now I'm thinking that we might need to get another chair to go under that window with a table in between for Dan and I when we have our tea together in the morning. But we'll see what it looks like once we get the couch in here. I am so happy with this, but because the lighting and everything's so bad and it's nighttime and we don't have everything here, I thought I would hold off filming the end of this video until we have the rest of this set up and show you the whole entire thing. So I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. All right, friends, we are all done now getting everything set up, and I wanted to show you the whole entire thing, and I am so pleased with it. I don't think I've ever been in a space that I feel like reflects more me than this space. I just love it. It's just so beautiful. And I'll also show you the stuff that's over here in this cabinet, some of the things that my grandma made and just some things that are precious to me. So I'll back up. I'll actually get out of the way so that you can actually see. Okay, here we are is the entire space. I just love this chair. I just think it looks so pretty. But my very favorite kind of part of this whole thing are these plaid pillows. I don't know why, they just make me really happy. Oh, actually one more favorite too. I just love this lamp so much. The little pine cone pole is just so adorable. Many, many years ago, I got these lampshades and then I dried flowers and stuck them on the inside of the lampshade. And the nice thing is I just put them on with a little bit of white glue so I can just wash them off and refresh them with some new ones to go downstairs. So the plan for this, the lamp that's going to go here, is we've ordered this really cute chicken. So I just love cute lamps. So it is a little chicken lamp. It's really, really cute. I know it is kind of a brave thing to go with light colored furniture with a large family, but we do have lots of other spaces that are kind of hangout spaces for our kids. This is more the nice sitting and reading and playing board games space in here. And I just love how bright it looks. It's so pretty. And then over here, my grandmother, when she was alive, she painted figurines like this, all kinds of beautiful things. So these are some of hers. I'm so happy to have them. And these two plates back here are also some of hers. And my mom gave me this, I think probably 25 years ago now. And this set from her collection this past Christmas, and I absolutely love it. Hi! These eggs down here are actually my son. So my mom has been giving one egg to him every birthday for the last 4 years. He loves collectible things, but he asked if he could put them in the cabinet so that there's no risk of them breaking. I grew up with these eggs in my house when I was a kid. And then a couple more of my grandma's things. So this one and these two are my grandma's. And this one was a teacup that I picked out of my great-grandmother's collection when she passed away. Sadly, the plate broke a long time ago, but I still have held on to this. And I just remembered that I have something that I need to put in the bottom of, actually I have two things that I need to put in the bottom of this shelf, the empty shelf. I'm going to run and grab them if I can find them. I know where one of them is for sure because I want to show you just because they're such amazing family heirlooms to have. So what do you think? I just love it. It just feels so homey and cozy. And I think I'm going to light a fire in the fireplace and have a tea after I'm finished filming this. But I'll run down and grab those collectibles to show you. Okay, I found them. So this was my grandmother's Bible that was given to her when she was a child. And it just makes me happy. So it's inscribed on here, and then it has some of her notes inside of the Bible, which I just love so much. There's some of her favorite scriptures in there. Such a treasure. I just love this so much. So my grandmother, this book was created by my great-grandma, and my grandmother was a dancer and a singer. She was a performer, sang opera, and when she was a child, her mom made all of her costumes. And so this book is drawings that my great-grandmother did of the costumes that she designed for my grandma. So it has which performance she wore it in. This was an English song and tap dance. Pam's most popular number. Pam was my grandmother's name. This is age 5. And look at this. Just so fabulous. So my mom had a couple of these and she knew how much I absolutely adored this. So she gave it to me for Christmas a couple of years ago. And I just think it is so precious. Look at this. There's even some sparkles that are put on there. So it's just filled with her finale. This is just so fantastic. Look at that. So a definite treasure to have. So in order to keep them safe, I'm just going to put them down here. All right, friends, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.